all instances.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So let's go back into another book. Like, what do you consider primal fitness?
Yeah, so it was what's interesting about this Paleo Workouts for Dummies is I was approached to write this book, to write a Dummies book, and Wiley, the people who published Dummies book, what they like to do is they like to put out significant reference guides on anything that is very trendy right now, right? So
sure.
Of course the paleo diet is very trendy, and this whole idea of living primal is very trendy. So they approached me, and they wanted me to write a quote unquote paleo type of exercise program. And I was very upfront. I said, I don't know what the hell the caveman did. I never met a caveman.
Great point.
But I can tell you what I would want people to do, what is reasonable. So, my whole training philosophy is based around minimalism and working the fundamental human movements, right? The push, the pull, the hinge, the squat, the carries, the direct ab work, and then the rotation. You just focus around those vital few efforts that are going to give you the best results. And then that's easily tied into the idea of primal fitness, because the life of a caveman, again, I have no idea what it was really like, and most people really don't. It's really just a bunch of speculation. But I'm willing to guess that he probably picked up some heavy things on pretty regular occasion. He probably did some sort of sprinting or high-intensity work,
catch an animal or get away.
Yeah, and then he probably moved around very often at a pretty slow pace. So I think if you follow that general framework of heavy lifting, like 4 to 5 days a week, some intense metabolic works, like 1 to 2 days a week. This could be your complex training.
Sure.
And then you just do a lot of corrective movements, a lot of joint mobility, and a lot of just, low-level brisk walking. I would say that's probably going to be the closest approximation you can get to, like, a primal or paleo lifestyle. And that's really the framework that I use for the book, just that. Frequent heavy lifting, frequent strength practice, some infrequent but, intense metabolic work, and then just as much low-level activity as possible.
Awesome. I guess we'll find out when they find another cave painting with a kettlebell and a foam roller, right?
Yeah, I was trying to find one to interview, but I had a really hard time.
You have to go back pretty far. So yeah, I agree with all that stuff that you say. Trying to think. Now let's get into. Let's hop onto fasting real quick. Just because, think about this. Like we were talking about, they're gonna have to sprint after these animals, either the fight or flight or freeze, right? So they probably have a lot less stress than us going to, contemporary workstations and getting yelled at by our boss and having road rage. They either took that thing down or that thing took them down, and then it was over with. They're relaxing and eating or whatever. At least that's how I picture it. But as far as that, about the fasting, there's going to be some times when those animals aren't going to be able to be found. So they didn't have refrigerators. So what if it is a day or so that they don't eat? I mean, what do you think about this fasting stuff?
Well, I think it's very interesting. Is humans is one of the few species where our stomach is actually able to expand, which is some very strong evidence that we were designed and adapted for a type of feast and famine style of diet. And you're absolutely right. There is no guarantees of food back there. But again, I wasn't around back then. My mother-in-law was. I could ask her, but I don't talk to her very much. So my best guess, and the research shows, because there are cultures that thousands of years ago, like the Taoists, that have been used fasting as a general health practice for thousands of years. So again, whether or not the caveman actually did it out of his own volition, he probably didn't.
Sure.
The research is very clear, and the evidence is there, is that fasting is one of the single best things that you can do for your general health. There's just no doubt about it. It increases growth hormone pulse and frequency. It increases neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells. It increases lipolysis, fat burning. It helps to alkalize and restore proper pH balance to the blood. Just the whole idea of not eating for a while is really and truly like one of the absolute best things that you can do for yourself. Now, you say that you actually follow a fasting regimen, don't you, Joe?
Not currently, but every now and then I'll tell you a little bit about how I do it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'd like to hear.
I've tried a lot of different types of nutrition plans because I feel you have to try many and see how you perform optimally and how you feel from it. Because everything that's been out there published, I believe, works for someone very well, but not everyone. So I'm trying to. I think everyone should try to test this stuff out. Follow reputable sources such as yourself and other people out there. I've tried Ori Hefmekler's Warrior Diet, different things like that I followed up with John Berardi's tests. But I think this goes back to just 100 years ago. Think about this. We didn't have, before like refrigerators and all this electricity and stuff and Walmart being open all the time, we weren't eating anywhere near as much as we are now, and we were doing a heck of a lot more work to get the food. We had to rig up the horse and buggy and ride and get the food. Our bread wasn't lasting a week. We didn't have all these chemical preservatives, which makes me sick to think about. But it's crazy. So I really do believe in that. And when people say, "Oh, it's terribly bad to bad to go for a long time without eating," I'm like, well, what do you think sleeping is? Right? So if you're
whether you want to or not, you're going into a fast.
You're fasting.
Every single night.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, conventional wisdom and marketing has really demonized fasting, but
because it doesn't sell food.
Amazing. There is a preponderance of research on the benefits of fasting, and like you said, Joe, for some people it's not going to be right, and for some people who are trying to attain some sort of like very specific performance goal, or say there's a power lifter or a bodybuilder.
Sure.
Fasting might not be right for them, but it's a general practice for good health. I believe that it is beyond dispute that fasting is one of the best things that you can do for your health.
Well, think about this, like how hard it, like when people are eating right before they go to bed, say it's maybe more carbohydrates or something, their blood sugar levels up. It's hard to go to sleep. We're all amped up, and your body's still trying to process all that food instead of relaxing, and we don't de-stress enough at all.
Yeah, you make a great point. You said it earlier. Is the caveman probably lived a lot more of a low stress lifestyle. Again, speculation.
Constant stress, yeah.
A more high stress type of lifestyle than what most Americans live right now. And the way you eat, especially in accordance to your biorhythms, can really jack things up even more. Can even stress you out even more than you already are at a time when you're supposed to be in a relaxed, more parasympathetic state, et cetera, et cetera.
I did a little experiment a couple months ago with a bunch of people on Facebook. I called it the Chopstick Challenge, where for a month we ate everything we could, whether it was oatmeal in the morning or salad. We ate it all, or even soup. We ate it with chopsticks, and it was really, really popular. And I polled people and saw what they felt afterwards. They say they felt incredibly relaxed. They ate maybe 20 to 50% less than they had normally eaten and felt better.
100% slower.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing. Even if you get good at even if you're very good at it, you eat, you taste the food. If you're going to eat soup, you're going to have more chunky vegetables and stuff like that. It was all a way for me to get into people's minds and, kind of subliminally say, hey, eat more veggies, eat, better choices of lean proteins, get good fats instead of just a bunch of oil, get your nuts and stuff like that, and seeds and stuff. But it was awesome. Especially, they said they felt relaxed. They took time. You can't drive your car and eat chopsticks.
Really cool. I've never heard of anything like that before, but I think
I'll have to invite you to the next group. You there? Hello?